Good afternoon, everyone. It is Pal Ponder on Weather coming to you live here. It's about 3:08 on Wednesday, and I'm coming on live earlier because it looks like we've got some storms breaking out about an hour or two earlier than what was expected. We already have a tornado watch issued between now and 8 o'clock for portions of Iowa, Kansas, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, as well as South Dakota. You can actually see a line of thunderstorms that erupted right along the dry line. And that's what we talked about. And you can kind of highlight this area. And this is some dangerous stuff, guys. This is very unusual for this time of year. This tornado watch goes on between now and 8 o'clock this evening, essentially from Grand Island to Junction City to Lincoln to Norfolk to Omaha, as well as Sioux City up here and getting all the way over to Waterloo. This whole area is under the gun to see a few possible tornadoes, then also some quarter-size hail, but most importantly, damaging wind gusts of 90 miles an hour. And these storms right now are moving at 69 miles an hour. That is highly unheard of. And that was the indication of these storms were going to be moving at 70, 80, 90 miles an hour at times. So you can see we had some isolated supercells breaking out along this dry line. And as soon as it activated, it just more or less exploded. So let's zoom in here because we've got numerous severe thunderstorm warnings along this leading edge. How are you doing, everyone? Welcome aboard. I appreciate you guys watching. So yeah, we've got numerous tornado warnings out ahead of this, on the other side of this dry line. So packing with this, we've got some 80-mile-per-hour wind gust, and it looks like if we zoom in, then we've already got potentially, let's see. All right, so this tornado warning goes on until about 3:30 for about another 20 minutes. This is moving 81 miles an hour. Gosh, that is just unheard of. 81 miles an hour to the northeast. It's got some 1-inch hail to it. Locations in its path are Winsner at 337, West Point at 342, Oakland at 352, and Macy at 403. So all those areas will be under the gun. It's going to be one of those things, guys, that, just because you kind of hear sirens, you think, hey, you got a lot of lead time. Not in this situation. I mean, as you can see, we've got 80-mile-per-hour destructive winds with this particular thunderstorm. These are all kind of moving. They're all going to form out to about the southwest and then moving northeast. And they're all going to be booking at 70, 80, 90 miles an hour. So you're going to have kind of little to no warning. This is definitely kind of an unusual setup. Typically, these storms move about 30 to 40. This is moving a double, if not almost triple the speed at times. So even though you're kind of far away and say, hey, I've got a lot of time, no, you really don't in this situation, because these thunderstorms and these supercell thunderstorms, these tornadoes and destructive winds are going to be on your doorsteps in a matter of minutes because they're just moving so fast. Hey, Bradley, how are you doing? Hey, I appreciate it. Hey, Wade, how are you doing? How bad are the storms going to be in my area? Yeah, so they're just now kind of ramping up, right? I mean, they're just now kind of ramping up. I mean, some of these thunderstorm tornado watches have wind gusts upwards to 90 miles an hour. So we've had some wind gusts. I think Colorado clocked a wind gust at 107 miles an hour in some of the isolated locations. So this is a kind of a unique setup with this very active low-level jet that's just kind of really intensifying. And I think once these kind of get past the peak heating of the day, because these originally weren't supposed to start to about 5, 6 o'clock. So I think these are unfortunately kind of on the weaker side right now. And I do feel they're going to ramp up in a big way as we get into, unfortunately, the nighttime hours. And I think that's when kind of the low level jet gets a little closer and has a lot more lift to it, and then we'll start to have a lot more rotation in the atmosphere. But it's going to be a 1-2 punch of some straight line winds of 70, 80, 90 miles an hour. And then you're going to have rotating supercells that are also going to be quick spin ups. And you're probably not going to see these things. It's going to be embedded in nighttime rotating supercells. And you're going to have little to no time to react. So essentially, if you're in these areas, if you can get home, I would highly advise. I know a lot of these areas have let out school today, or at least let out early. And if you can get out work early, I would highly advise you to do so. And if you can get in at home and just kind of hunker down for the next 4 or 5 hours, because really it's supposed to pass the state of Iowa in about 4 hours. I mean, that's how fast these are moving. I mean, the state of Iowa is about 310 miles wide, and these storms are booking at 80 to 90 miles an hour. And you can see the trajectory of these, if I zoom out here, of how these storms are going to originate and then essentially lift off into the northeast. So right now, they're just now entering essentially Iowa here. And these are going to be racing off to the northeast. Like I mentioned, these things are booking at 69 miles an hour. And in fact, I think they just actually intensify and they actually pick up speed as they lift off into southern Minnesota and eventually getting into Wisconsin. But yeah, I expect to be across the entire state of Iowa in a matter of 4 hours. And so it's going to cover about 300 miles of severe weather in about a 4-hour time span. And eventually this will lift off into southern Minnesota and eventually get into portions of Wisconsin as we get into later on this evening, probably around, 9 o'clock time frame, 10 o'clock time frame. It should be in southern Minnesota by then, as well as portions of Wisconsin. So yeah, so hey, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks for watching. Please share this video. I mean, if you've got any friends and family that are in and around this area, I know it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Probably a lot of people are at work, people are at school. This is a busy time. This is the peak of the day, so this is obviously you've got, a life to do and things to do, but you're probably out and about. And if you just, people need to be made aware that this is a high impact event that's on the table, because it's it's a 1-2 punch. Even though if you don't see a tornado in your area, you're still going to get impacted from these straight line damaging winds of 70, 89 miles an hour. And it probably could, once it kind of gets its act together, could actually form into a derecho, which is indicative of about a 240-mile wide straight line wind event. So yeah, it's not out of the question as these things start to really kind of congeal together later on this evening that they form a derecho. So we're going to have a kind of an isolated tornado threat in the beginning for the first couple hours. And then I think it's going to be kind of transferring into more of a straight line damaging derecho type of event as it lifts off into, further into Wisconsin as we get past the 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock time frame. So that's kind of my thinking how this is all going to play out. But it's going to be a nasty event. I mean, over the next, 4, 5, 6 hours. So I plan on being with you, the entire way, throughout the duration of the event. So yeah, so you can see this leading edge, and let me just put the time tracker on. Let me just show you how this has all evolved over just the last 4 hours. This puts a time track all the way back to about noon. This is only about 3.5 hours time frame, and you can see there's nothing, right? There's literally nothing. And it really doesn't start to pop. It starts to pop around probably about 2 o'clock. Once it starts to heat some of this daytime heating, the unfortunate part about this situation is the overnight lows. I mean, the overnight lows really didn't creep down that much. I mean, we're talking, 25 to 30 degrees above average. That is very highly unusual. And that's what makes this so dangerous because the atmosphere wasn't able to cool down at night. So it's got all layers of the atmosphere really elevated, and then as this upper level low, this 850 millibar low pressure system kind of taps into that mid latitude moisture, it's entrenching some of that cooler air in the mid latitudes, and that's what's happening with this particular system. As it's these thunderstorms are able to explode in that environment. I mean, in a normal situation, we wouldn't have been. I mean, at the time we actually maybe hit peak heating, we wouldn't have been high enough as these storms to kind of come across to activate any storms. But now that we've had such elevated nighttime lows. I mean, I think your low temperatures in Iowa were close to almost 50 degrees, which typically this time of year, you're supposed to be in the teens, right? I mean, so that's highly unusual for something for December standards. And that's why once it gets into Minnesota, we've actually never seen a tornado in Minnesota in December. We've actually never seen it. So this is in rare territory of something like this is actually taking place tonight. But this is what the events of what's unfolding kind of right before our eyes. So you can see these things just rapidly kind of explode once they get past the dry line. So there was a dry line set up right along eastern Nebraska here. And once they cross that pivot point, boom, thunderstorms ignited. The relative humidity values are way low on the west side, but once it got into the east side, that's the warm sector, and once it crosses that boundary, that's when thunderstorms started to erupt in a big way, and that's what we're seeing. And so you can see the cold air. I mean, it's lagging well behind the system. Let me just stop this, right? Let me just stop this for a second so you can see the leading edge of this front. And look at that. I mean, we're talking a good 100 miles on the backside, which is the colder air. So that is the lagging indicator. So that's why these thunderstorms are going to have plenty of fuel to work with, because they're not going to have any colder air to entrench or intrude on these thunderstorms. Look at the temperatures. They're well into the 70s, and the dew points are just about up there as well. So you're talking elevated dew points in the upper 60s, high temperatures in the low 70s. All the colder air is a good solid 100 miles away. You can see it 27 back here, but that's a long ways away, guys. So we're going to have tornadoes, a straight line wind event with the Derecho, and then we're going to have kind of a lull in the pattern. And then we're going to have round two come in on the backside, and this area right here is all wind. It should be all wind and not possibly tornadoes with this system on the backside, as this would move across after you get hit with this first initial punch. So don't think, once it crosses your area and after you get impacted that you're going to be done this evening, because that is not the case, because we have round two on the backside with an initial guesstimated probably 50 or 60, a little bit lighter, but because we do have some cold air entrenched in this atmosphere, but still these winds are still going to be packing a punch in a big way on the backside as this moves across. It's really not until this backside, this cold front that will move through your area, 10, 11, 12 o'clock tonight, that you're done, right? And I'll be on with you, every step of the way to let you know, hey, when's probably a good time that, once this thing clears, that, hey, you can go to bed and we're all good, and that things are good to, go to sleep for the evening. But we're a long ways away from that. Hey, Maria, how are you doing? Hey, yeah, these storms are nuts. It really is. I mean, I can't believe we're even talking about something like this in the middle of December. I mean, we're 10 days before Christmas, right? I mean, it's not like that unusual to talk about tornadoes in December. It has happened, but it's very unusual be talking about tornadoes in an area that literally just got snow 5 days ago in southern Minnesota. I mean, literally, they've got 4 to 6 inches of snow on the ground. And now we're going to be talking tornadoes in that atmosphere. They've never seen it. They've never experienced anything like this in the middle of December in the state of Minnesota. So if we do get confirmation of a tornado making landfall in Minnesota, that will break all records. I mean, we go back all the way to 1950 and all the way back to 1950. We're talking 71 years of history and tracking these stuff that it's never happened. I mean, it's never happened in the state of Minnesota. I mean, obviously that far north, right? This is an area where you typically start to see snow and blizzards and cold weather and below zero and below freezing temperatures, but that is just not the case right now, as we're just in a kind of a transient type pattern. Hey, how are you doing? Thanks all subscribing to a very genuine guy channel. Thanks for your time, pal. Hey, I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Yeah, so I appreciate you guys tuning in. I am all alone tonight. I'm all by myself tonight, so I don't have any help with my stream. So I wish I did, but I'm going to try to do my best and handle this the best I can to get you all the latest watches and warnings available. But yeah, so you can see down here we've got another severe thunderstorm watch that actually was activated recently that goes on until 7 o'clock. So between now and 7 o'clock, you're going to be susceptible in this area. Let me just pull up the parameters on this. All right, here we go. Yeah, so a new severe thunderstorm watch in this blue shaded area right here into portions of Junction City, Emporia, and Topeka, Kansas, and to Kansas City, as well as Richmond here. So these areas are going to be under the gun to seeing some kind of marble size hail. That's not really the main threat with this system. The main threat is going to be a scattered gust of up to 70 miles an hour in this blue shaded zone. So in this blue shaded zone, you can see the tail end of this is kind of what they call back building. So as it back builds and as it builds to the south, they're putting new watches and warnings out ahead of it. So that's what you have to look forward to between now and 7 o'clock, unfortunately, in this blue shaded area, going to be hit with some 70-mile-per-hour wind gust and some frequent lighting. This is not a tornado threat. This is more or less a severe thunderstorm watch. But these storms are going to be still packing some 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So they can still do some straight line wind damage. And straight line wind damage can still do the same amount of damage as kind of an EF0 tornado. So don't let your guard down, not expecting a tornado or two, but you are going to be experiencing those wind gusts of upward to 70 miles an hour. And just like the ones to the north, these things are going to be moving at 58 miles an hour, as you can see here, off to the northeast. So you can kind of see these times and locations on where these supercell thunderstorms are going to be. So, but yeah, along this leading edge, and that's what's going to be indicating really for the rest of the night. We've got numerous, severe thunderstorm warnings are going to be breaking out along the leading edge. And once you get further north, you got what they call the deformation zone, right around that 850 low, right around what they call the triple point. As this kind of comes together and as these moves to the northeast, this is where you're going to be. This is where your tornado threat is going to be. So right here around the Norfolk area, what's where they have tornado warnings currently right now. I mean, look at that. These are pretty severe, guys. I mean, we're talking some 80-mile-per-hour wind gust with some 1.5-inch hail. That's a little bit larger than quarter size. We're talking probably ping pong size hail as these move through. So between now and 3:30, really for the next 3 minutes, this is going to be ending. But all this is literally just going to be extending into the Wisner area, going into Bancroft. So these areas are going to be hit late in about 30 minutes or so. As this one expires, they'll extend this tornado warning off to the northeast as we move into past the 3:30 hour, as we go into the 4 o'clock hour. And that, they already have the severe thunderstorm warning between now and 4:15 for that area. And yeah, look at that. I mean, it's moving east at 64 miles an hour. So all these storms, as you can see, they're moving anywhere from 60 to 80 miles an hour, which is definitely highly unusual for a severe threat for sure. So yeah, so I got my water with me. So yeah, like I said, I planned on being here a long time tonight. So I know we're just kind of getting started. It's 3:30. So yeah, please ask any questions. If you're in the risk zone, if you're not in the risk zone, if you got family, friends, and family in and around these areas that you're concerned about, yeah, let me know. I mean, leave a message, leave a comment below. Hey Jenny, how are you doing? Greetings from Phoenix. Thanks for watching from Phoenix. All I'm going to say is people need to pray. Yeah, it's just a rough night. Tornado on the ground in Nebraska. Let's see. So let me zoom out here. So we got tornado warning. There's multiple tornado warnings. We've got another tornado warning. Let me get confirmation of that if possible tornado on the ground. I'm trying to get in touch with all my storm spotters. But yeah, we've got numerous tornado warnings currently right now. You can see actually 3 of them, and they all go. One goes until 4 o'clock for the wind side, the Santon, Nebraska, Windside, Nebraska, Hotskins, Nebraska. Now, please excuse me if I pronounce any of the cities incorrectly tonight. I greatly apologize. There's just a lot going on, and tornado warning right now until 4 o'clock. That's a brand new one for Junction City, Kansas, Ogden, Kansas. That's now between now and 4 o'clock for the next 30 minutes. So yeah, you can see there's 3 currently tornado warnings right now with possible tornadoes with them. Hey Susan, how are you doing? Let me zoom out. This is in the right now this is Nebraska, and this is going into portions of Iowa here, going into, approaching the Sioux City area. So all these storms, you can see the direction here. These are all going to be impacting the Sioux City area really in the next 30 to 45 minutes. So yeah, let me just zoom out so people that are just now tuning in can get your bearings. There's Minneapolis. That's essentially central to southern Minnesota here. There's Cedar Rapids. So the severe thunderstorm or the tornado watch is really in effect from eastern Nebraska, covering a good chunk of Iowa here, and parts of southern South Dakota and parts of southern Minnesota here. So you can kind of get your bearings. And these storms can be packing a punch of 90 miles an hour. So 90-mile-per-hour wind gust with these storms. And these are moving upwards to almost 70 miles an hour along this leading edge. So the further north you go, that's where the tornado threat is going to be. You still got a little bit of a tornado threat further down to the south, but it's not nearly as evident. It's going to be right along this triple point as this continues to lift off into the northeast. So it's this area right here that's going to be mainly hit from the potential tornadoes tonight within this sector. You can still get some down further to the south, but it's not as likely to get tornadoes a little bit further off to the south along this leading edge. You're mainly going to be more of that straight line damaging wind threat of that 70, 80, 90 mile per hour winds. But here up to the north, you're going to get both. You're going to get the 70, 80, now 90 mile per hour straight line wind threat. And also, you're going to get some isolated spin up tornadoes. So you're going to get hit, on both sides. Hey, do you think Chicago will get hit hard? Uh, no, this is actually lifting off into the northeast, and I'm not. No, I don't think it's actually going to make it to Chicago area. I think these will eventually kind of die off. Evacuations in Gooman, Oklahoma for fast moving wildfires. Oh no, that was another an impact today. Well, Gooman, if you were on my video this morning, um, they were under that critical fire danger today. So yeah, unfortunately, it looks like there's some fires that kind of broke out in that area. I mean, the humidity values dropped to like 5 or 10%. That's like next to nothing. And you put on top 30, 40, and then gust of 50 to 60 mile per hour gust on top of that. Once a fire starts, they tend to jump, right? They can actually pick up the fire and then jump it across the freeway and then land. And once it lands, it just ignites. And the dry brush that's out there, because those areas have been dangerously dry. I mean, it's been really dry in Midland, Texas, the Panhandle of Texas, the middle part of the country. Denver's desperately needing snow, right? I mean, so the whole middle part of the country has been desperately needed precipitation. And unfortunately, when you get some of those higher winds and this type of atmosphere, that's why they had that critical fire danger today. So hopefully that does not get too bad in those areas. Hey D, how you doing? Hey Steve. Yeah, last I heard, the highest wind gust in Colorado was 107. So yeah, I mean those storms coming off the foothills there were packing 80 to 100 mile per hour winds, and that's the same system. I mean that's essentially the same system that's moving across. And let me just put the the loop on here again. So this is literally just over the last 4 hours. So this will kind of take you back until say about noon time frame. You can see there was kind of nothing going on, right? And so temperatures were about, they were just kind of waiting on that dry line. So once it passed that dry line, so I can just kind of stop it right here. Once it passed eastern Nebraska here, thunderstorms started to explode, and that's why they activated the tornado watch in that area. And these are all lifting off into the northeast at 70 miles an hour. So yeah, okay. So let me zoom in, because it looks like we've got a new tornado warning here. So let me get the bearings on this one. Oh, they're swarming on the south side too. Okay. Yeah, so right here around Raymond, Nebraska, Agnew, Nebraska, between now and 4 o'clock. So that's a brand new tornado warning that took place about 10 minutes ago. Moving northeast at 75 miles an hour, guys. These were moving northeast at 75 miles an hour between now and 4 o'clock. So there are some a little bit further south on the southern side too, as well, that just got activated. These are locations into Riley, Kansas, and to Westmoreland, Kansas, as well as Olsburg, Kansas, between now and 4 o'clock. You can see these tornado warnings are really not that long, right? I mean, they're not that long in length because they're just moving so fast. So locations in the path are going to be Riley at 336. It should be on your doorstep right now. Olsburg at 350. Westmoreland at 4 o'clock. Wheaton at 406. Onaga, sorry if I'm mispronouncing some of these cities, at 413. Havensville at 418, Soldier at 424. So all these areas are going to be undergone to see a possible tornado within, and it does show radar indicated. I mean, it does show a potential radar indicated with this supercell as this is racing across into the northeast at, yeah, these are booking at 63 miles an hour. And so there's another one to the south side as well. Let me get the parameters on that. So it looks like if you're in the Centon, Nebraska area, Winside, Nebraska, Hutchins, Nebraska, between now and 4 o'clock, you're going to be hit hard with this potential tornado. This is another particular, tornado indicated supercell thunderstorm locations, and this one is Junction City at 338. Ogden at 347, and Manhattan at 358, St. George at 407, Louisville at 416. So it just kind of give you an idea of some of the towns and cities. If you live in the area, you need to get in your safe zone because you're going to have little to no warning with this supercell as this is racing across eastward at 56 miles an hour between now and the next 20 minutes. Yeah, so let me zoom out here so you can kind of see what all is going on. You can see we got numerous tornado warnings kind of breaking out along this leading edge, and this is already kind of forming into a derecho type of event as this is moving across. We've got 4 active tornado warnings currently right now along this leading edge, essentially from Wichita all the way to Sioux City. So this is a dangerous event. This is just now kind of getting going. If you're just now tuning in, we've got an active live tornado outbreak unfolding with an extreme rare wind event for areas that just typically don't see severe weather this late in the season and this far north in the season. So this is definitely a rare event. And unfortunately, these storms are a straight line derecho type wind damage event from 70 and 80 to 90 mile per hour. And then we've got numerous tornado warnings and tornado watches that go on between now and 8 o'clock for this area that's in the purple shaded area, which basically encompasses eastern Nebraska and much of Iowa. And as these move across to the northeast, I think this is just going to get extended to probably like the midnight time frame, going into southern Minnesota, portions of southern Wisconsin here, as this will move into portions the other side of Iowa as well, as these continue to race across to the northeast at 60 to 70 miles an hour. So yeah, this is definitely a dangerous night. Smoke and dust from a fire near my parents' house on the northwest side of Guymon, Oklahoma. 70 to 80 mile per hour winds with no rain in months. That's a scary situation. Gosh, it almost looks like a kind of like a haboob where they've got some of these wind dust events that they see in the Southwest regions where there's just a lot of dust. They haven't had any rain, right? And so the wind just kind of kicks up all the dust in the atmosphere, and it almost makes it look like a kind of a tornado that's happening in that area. But that's the wildfires that they're dealing with on the southern side, on the southern side. So there's a whole nother element to this situation that's unfolding. And on the south side, as you get towards the Oklahoma area, as you can see, it's 75 degrees. I mean, it's almost 80 degrees in Dallas. That's like, the average high is 57 this time of year. So that's just, it's hot, guys. This is definitely unusual for this time of year. Hey, River Runner, how's it going? I looked at the jet last night and was around 165 miles an hour. Yeah. I know. I mean, it's hey, Steve. Yeah, these things are just really cranking and packing a punch. It really elevated. I mean, it really dug down off the West Coast and it brought all the atmospheric river and moisture off the west coast of California up into the Pacific Northwest. It gave some beneficial rain into central California as well as southern California. I mean, even Los Angeles got some rain out of the deal. And then once it got to the Sierra Nevada mountains, man, it was those snowfall rates were incredible. So the ski lovers are going to be really loving it once they get out there because it's got a um, great powder. I mean, there were snowfall rates of 5 to 7 inches per hour at times. There were isolated locations as of yesterday that already got 6 feet of snow literally just Sunday. So yeah, I mean, there was a lot of moisture available with this particular, dynamic atmosphere. And then as it moved across, I mean, there were numerous winter weather advisories and then those high wind watches once it got into Colorado. And then now we're left with the severe side as it kind of taps into this really elevated sea surface temperatures further to the south. I mean, I kind of showed you some of these sea surface temperature in some of my videos. I mean, we're well above average for this time of year. So as the winds turn around to the south, that picks up the increased water vapor. So it increases the overnight nighttime lows. And then the warm front, you always have to be on the lookout for a warm front this time of year as it backs up. And so as it backs up and as it lifts north, that's what was happening. So we had a trough coming in off the west. We had a warm front lifting to the north. We had a surge from the south wind, lifting that water vapor all the way into Omaha, really going into Wisconsin, where they've had some record high temperatures in that part of the woods. And then now that the cold front is knocking on the door and it's kind of clashing with that air mass, that's where we're seeing some supercell outbreak on the other side of the dry line here. And that's what we're watching unfolding as we speak, as these supercell thunderstorms explode and they're almost bowing. You can actually see the bow even in the thunderstorm warnings right here. That's an indication of some extremely high winds. And that's also an indication that it's moving so fast. I mean, let me just click on some of these severe thunderstorm watches here. This one's moving at 67 miles an hour. It's got some 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So, I mean, I know the storm chasers are doing their best out there today, but it's a dangerous situation, guys. I mean, you can only drive so fast, and you got to get ahead of the storm too. You can't just follow along. You've got to get ahead of the storm, be able to stop and take a picture and get some footage. To me, it's a dangerous setup to try to trace in this type of atmosphere because these storms are just moving so fast. I mean, 70, 80, 90 miles an hour. I mean, you can't drive 100, 110 mile, 120 miles an hour to get ahead of these storms. So I think it's almost impossible to kind of chase in this type of situation because these just storms are just going to be moving so quick. But I know some storm chasers out there that are doing the best they can to bring us the best footage they can, but obviously not put their life at risk as well. So let me all right, so let me refresh here. Let me get my bearings. Yeah, it looks like Lincoln, Nebraska just measured a 93-mile-per-hour wind gust. That was at 10 minutes ago, guys. So that's some dangerous stuff. I mean, confirmation. Lincoln, Nebraska got a 93 mile-per-hour wind gust just 10 minutes ago. So these storms, you can see they're definitely ramping up. I mean, they're ramping up, and the tornado watch is indicating wind gusts of upward to 90 miles an hour, and we've got confirmation in Lincoln, Nebraska already that they had a 93-mile-per-hour wind gust just 10 minutes ago. So yeah, Reed said he would need to drive 120. I know, right, Brett? He even said he needed to drive 120. You can't drive 120, and he's still out there. So I wish him the best. Yeah, tries to take a bite from a pizza while listening to POW live coverage. Will suddenly a strong wind gust blows over the toppings. Oh no, Jenny. Oh man. Hail coming to Omaha Valley. Yeah, so there is some hail associated with this. That is not the main impact from this system. There is going to be some, 1 inch to 1.5 inch hail. I mean, you can kind of zoom into some of these supercells. This is not even an inch, right? These are not even an inch in diameter. So I'm not like too concerned with hail in this situation. This is 1 inch. You really kind of have to get over above an inch to kind of even really start doing some damage. This is 1 1/4. So we're a little bit over a quarter size hail. So that would typically put, little tad dings in your car and stuff. But yeah, the main threat is not going to be hail from the situation. It's definitely going to be the straight line winds and the tornadoes that's going to be unfolding. Yeah, you can see some of these 80-mile-per-hour destructive winds out of these, and they did have that wind gust in Lincoln, Nebraska of 93 miles an hour. So yeah, I'm going to be constantly refreshing and kind of switching screens to kind of give you the latest updates on some of the storm chasers that are out there braving this event tonight. That's trying to bring us whatever they can to bring us this some storm coverage. Yeah, time for everyone in Omaha to take shelter. 70 to 90-mile-per-hour wind gust arrive in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Yeah, so let me zoom in here so you can see some of these areas that North Bend and Scribner and Wisner. These are all moving off into the northeast here at 70, 80 miles an hour. Yeah, no, a lot of people are asking me about Chicago. Chicago is actually not under any warned area. So these are all moving off into the northeast. So actually, Chicago is technically not even in. This is Chicago right here. So these are actually moving kind of northeast, and as these move east, eventually they'll kind of fizzle out and they'll break off. I mean, a little bit further off into the south. I mean, that'll eventually kind of fishtail and kind of back build further off to the south. These will be some isolated severe threat in this area as we get into, the early morning hours of tomorrow morning and say, northeast Texas, going into portions of Little Rock, Arkansas. So eventually this whole system will be all the way down here, but they're not expected to be nearly as strong as what they are currently right now. I mean, in fact, they just kind of have a marginal risk in these areas currently right now. But I'm not expecting anything in the Chicago area from these storms. This first system is actually going to be lifting off into the northeast. Is going to be impacting southern Minnesota here, southern South Dakota, as well as portions of Wisconsin. So eventually, this will all be kind of fizzling out as it lifts further off into the Upper Peninsula here. But it'll be splitting off on the south side, and so this southern side is already weaker than the northern side, and it'll continue to weaken as it moves further off into the southeast. So once it gets into the Little Rock area, which is a long ways away, but once it gets into the Little Rock area, so we're not talking until early tomorrow morning. So that's a long ways away. So it still has to travel that distance. But I'm that's how I'm kind of seeing these storms come kind of play out. We'll have a kind of a split atmosphere where this supercell will kind of split on the southern side, will branch off and push off into the southeast. Won't be nearly as destructive or as intense as what we're currently facing, but the northern branch will continue its intensity as it continues off into the northeast for the time being until probably around 10 or 11 o'clock. And then once we get to that point, I think this cold front kind of wraps up, some of that colder air kind of eventually wins the battle. And eventually it'll start to kind of overrunning this particular system and then eventually try to weaken it. But we're a long ways away from that. We got a lot of active weather to deal with between now and then. Um, so for for the evening, yeah. So we got a new severe thunderstorm warning between now and 4:45 for this area, right along the leading edge here. What is that in Fremont here? Hey, Peter. Oh no, your power went off. Yeah, that's one thing. Once the power goes off, it might be hard to turn back on, depending on the power lines and if there's debris and stuff on the power lines with trees and stuff, or a transmitter surged or something like that. All right. Hey, little. Yeah, Wisconsin. Yeah, you're gonna get hit. It's just it's not there yet. These storms are moving all off to the northeast, so you're still a ways away. They're still technically in portions of Nebraska here, but eventually it'll get into the Wisconsin area. You know, probably maybe 9 o'clock, something like that. These are moving fast. Um, these are all moving 60, 70, 80 miles an hour. So yeah, I mean, eventually it's going to get into the Wisconsin area later on this evening. So it'll all be nighttime. In fact, I think it turns dark in just an hour or so ago from now. So it won't be too long. You're not going to be able to see these things. Yeah, so you're probably getting some gust in Chicago, but you're not really expected to get any rain. So, I'm in Dallas myself, and it's really windy, even in Dallas. But we're just getting. I mean, you can see we've had some 40. I mean, look how far Dallas is from this event. I mean, we've had some 45-mile-per-hour wind gusts in the Dallas area today, and we're long ways away from it, right? And so this is a huge area that's going to get impacted from the wind. Yeah, no question. There's so many states. I mean, I forgot how many states. I mean, at least to 15 or 20 states that are impacted from high winds today. So it's a dangerous day if you're in a high profile vehicle out on the road, for sure. The crosswinds are tough. I mean, it's tough to have planes to fly off in this environment too because of the crosswinds. It's just too dangerous with the turbulence. So there's probably numerous airport delays out there from all different cities. So expect that. I mean, if you've got to fly it out or a flight coming in, or if you're waiting for somebody anywhere in these areas, even from Dallas to Chicago, um, I would expect delays. I mean, because there's going to be impossible for planes to fly or land, and in a lot of these areas because the turbulence is just so it's too dangerous. It's too dangerous. Once you get there, it just bounces you around too much, and it's just you really can't take off or land in that situation. So they're just gonna have to wait it out. And obviously, if you once you get delays, then it just kind of snowballs on kind of a compounding effect on top of each other. So the more delays you get from not just one city, from other cities, it just compounds the connecting flights as well. So definitely expect delays at the airports for sure. Yeah, let me pull up the wind gust again. Yeah, so we've got wind advisories from the Dallas Fort Worth area to Oklahoma City to Missouri to Chicago, Illinois to northern Indiana, west southern Michigan here, and then we've got numerous high wind watches and warnings, essentially from eastern New Mexico eastern Colorado, a good chunk of Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, Iowa, southern and central Minnesota. Pretty much the entire state of Wisconsin is under a high wind warning currently right now, and eventually get into northern Michigan here. So we've got numerous wind warnings in effect, right now. So yeah, so the good thing is those tornado warnings on the south side was able to expire. So they actually expired a little early. It's not even 4 o'clock yet. So they were able to expire a little bit earlier. So they weren't fortunately they kind of fizzled out. So we have new tornado warnings that they go until 4 o'clock. So these were about to expire as well. And we have another one that's almost expiring at 4 o'clock. So in about 2 minutes, we won't even have a tornado warning unless something else fires. So right now we're kind of in the calm before the storm a little bit, as we're just watching this whole entire line just really kind of getting its act together. So for those tuning in, so let me branch out. Let me put the storm motion on these storms so you can kind of really get a true picture of what's unfolded over the last couple hours here. You can see there was essentially nothing, and then once it kind of hit that dry line, and once it tapped into the warm sector here around eastern Nebraska, they really started to explode just right around the Grand Isle area. So you can see it's they've already moved from to Grand Isle, and they're halfway to Des Moines. So these storms are moving. So, but there is a backside to this, right? I mean, you can still see some indication of some activity down here in the backside. That's still some winds. That's still some higher wind gusts on the backside that's going to have to move through. And eventually you see some of this colder air that's really filtering in, on the backside. So that's once that colder air falls through. I mean, you can see it went from 68 to 50, right? It's gone from 68 degrees in North Platte to 50 degrees, and we're trying, it's already an indication it's kind of snowing in the higher elevations, or up in the atmosphere, and so it's cooling. So you have what they call dynamic cooling. As the snow falls, it'll cool the layers of the atmosphere, and you're seeing the breakdown process. I mean, probably most of it's not going to hit the ground. But eventually it's trying to cool all layers of the atmosphere. And if you get further off onto the western side of North Platte, it's down to 36, right? And so we're watching this kind of unfolding as we speak, and during the warm sector. And then once the cold air hits in the mid latitudes, it breaks it down. It has the dynamic cooling take place, and it lowers the temperature on all layers of the atmosphere. And eventually it tries to reach the surface, but it's just not going to make it by the time a lot of the moisture moves through. So it's not going to snow in this environment, but it's going to help cool the atmosphere down in a big way, on the backside. Hey, Pink Moon, how you doing? Hey, thanks for watching. Hey, anything for Wichita Falls? Yeah, Wichita Falls is not going to be until, really until Friday, later Friday. It's not from this event. There's nothing for Wichita Falls from this event. It's not until you have a secondary cold front that comes through. But this is only Wednesday. So we've got, this is one cold front, but we have a reinforcing shot of colder air on the backside. And once that moves through Wichita Falls is probably not going to be until sometime Friday, probably later Friday into Saturday. And they're not really, they're just expected to be strong, kind of more or less heavy rain, and not really severe. All right, so it looks like we've got a new tornado warning now. Let me yeah, so this area right here, Nebraska City. Yeah, this is the one until 4:15. Wow, 101 miles an hour. Whoa, this is incredible, guys. Yeah, radar indicated that is the storm motion right now. It's got a tornado warning at 4:01, goes to 4:15. Look at the motion. Northeast at 101 miles an hour. That is not a misprint, guys. That is some serious stuff. I mean, it's very unusual to see something like that unfold, to move just so quickly in this area. You've got almost an inch size hail with this particular system, but the main threat is going to be just the quick movement and the potential tornado that's going to be in its path. Nebraska City, Plattsmouth, going to Auburn at 4:08, Glenwood at 4:11, Red Oak at 4:28, Corning at 4:42. I mean, to me, it's almost impossible. It's going to be hard to spin up a tornado. I mean, and it has to be able to catch up with itself. I mean, with the storm motion and moving at 101 miles an hour. I mean, I'm trying to figure how a tornado would actually form in that situation, because you'd have to have the low level jet to kind of catch up with it. And is it moving that fast? Is it moving that fast in the upper atmosphere at 160 miles an hour? This is kind of an unheard of. We're seeing movements this fast. I mean, typically when I'm talking about severe storms, it's 15, 20, 25, sometimes 30 and 40 miles an hour. But I mean, it's unheard of to talk about 70, 80, 90, especially 100-mile-per-hour movement in storms. And that's why this tornado warning only goes for 14 minutes, which is rare in itself. I mean, look at the territory. Look at that box. That's a pretty good swath of real estate. But at it moving 101 miles an hour, that is what we're up against between Nebraska City to Malvern. So if you live in this area, I mean, all these areas, you really need to stay high alert, because you're going to have little to no warning. The sirens go off. You look at the radar and say, hey, that's a long ways away. Well, no, it's not. And it's actually not in this type of environment. You can see it's going to be on your doorstep in 10 minutes. So even though it's in Nebraska City right now, if you're in Malvern, it's going to be on your doorstep at 4:18. That's in 12 minutes, guys. I mean, and I know that's a long ways away. And so that's what we're dealing with in this type of environment as this, as this moves across. Happy you're alive here. More tornadoes. What the hell? Yeah, it's crazy, right? Right. We should be talking snow and cold weather now, but we're talking tornadoes, and we had some last week, and with this, I don't know, transient type pattern that we're up against right now. I mean, there are some indications. It's subtle. I mean, there are some indications that things are starting to change, but really not for everybody. So, but it's an unusual December. There's no two ways about it. Okay, so let's see. Expires 90-mile-per-hour winds. Yeah, so those areas under the gun and that tornado warning was Nebraska City, Glenwood, Iowa, as well as Malvern, Iowa. So we're making the transition, guys. It's 4:07. We're making the transition. We're moving out of Nebraska, and this was what a lot of the 3K NAM kilometer model was indicating really 2 days ago that it was going to form, explode right along the dry line about 4 o'clock. It actually started a little bit further off into the west than what the model showed actually 2 days ago, but it still did really good with this setup. It had the eastern Nebraska really pinpointed as things were going to explode, and they're all coming to fruition now with these storms lifting off into the northeast as we speak. And really, once it see once it got past the dry line, so now we're moving out of Nebraska and we're moving into Iowa. And once it got past the dry line, it's got tapped into that low level jet. And that's when it's really accelerating now. So this is probably going to be a new indicator that these storms are going to be racing even faster, right, than what we were seeing just an hour ago of some of those 50 to 60, 75-mile-per-hour movement. Now we're going to be closer to the 80, 90, and 100-mile-per-hour movement as these race across to the northeast. So that's what we're up against. So if you live into the Des Moines area, you need to be on high alert, guys. If you live in Fort Dodge, these areas are not that far away. I know it looks like far away, but it's not that far away. Storm Lake, Mason City. I mean, I'm just kind of naming some cities here. The Fairmont area. All these areas need to be on high alert. Rochester, all these areas need to be a high alert because this activity is racing your way, and it's got all indications of tornado outbreak on the table as these move across. So if you're not going to get hit with the damaging wind or the straight line winds, you could get hit with an isolated spin up tornado. So obviously the straight line winds are going to be more elongated, and everybody's going to feel the effect of those straight line winds, and the isolated tornadoes. Only a few of you, unfortunately, will be impacted from that. But there's not really much difference from, say, an EF0. An EF0 tornado is what, 65 to 85 mile per hour. That's kind of the straight line winds what we're working against. So you can almost say it's a solid line of an EF0 tornado. Once you get into above 85, you start getting to the EF1 type category, and eventually over 100 gets into the EF2 and the 3 category. But hey, I just found you a few weeks ago. Keep it to the great work. Hey, John. Hey, thanks for watching. Appreciate you watching. Any idea if there will be severe weather in northeast Oklahoma area, or will it be north of us? Right now, it looks to be north of you. There is, like I said, a marginal risk for some severe weather as we get into early tomorrow morning, as the same system will push off into the southeast. But right now it's more of on the stronger side versus on the severe side. Yeah, marginal risk for East Texas, southeastern Oklahoma, Little Rock, Arkansas, central Arkansas. Those areas will be a little bit more juice to that environment. But yeah, I mean, it's supposed to. These are supposed to split, right? So you can have, hey Kay, how are you doing? Hey, I'm early. Yes, yes, I started about an hour early. Storms were happening, so I came on live here. All right, so yeah, so it looks like we've got some new tornado warnings that elevated down further to the south here. So let me so let me get the parameters on these as these move across. This is a brand new tornado warning between, let me zoom in. All right, so between now and 4:30, so for the next 20 minutes, these storms are racing across northeast at 70 miles an hour. And locations in its path are are going to be let's see, St. Mary's at 412, Falls City at 423, Silver Lake at 424. So for the next 12 minutes in Silver Lake, and Holton at 425, and Horton at 432, and the Valley Falls area at 441. These are all going to be susceptible of seeing a possible tornado. This is radar indicated. We don't currently have eyes on a tornado on the ground or an observed tornado. This is all just kind of radar indicated from this supercell, but it's going to be racing across northeast at 70 miles an hour over the next 20 minutes. So you do need to take shelter within this zone as these move across in your area. Hey, there's still no power. Hey, Garrett, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming on live with me. Hey, still without power in southeastern Colorado. Yeah, I would imagine a lot of these areas, just because the high winds today are going to be left with numerous power outages for a good swath of the country, and it might take a little bit to restore. It's just kind of an unusual event to have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tornado warnings currently along this leading edge squall line here. If you go further north into Corning and Duluth, Kansas, those areas are under that tornado warning until 4:30. And then we have another tornado warning for Glenwood, Iowa, Malvern, Iowa, Tabler, Iowa until 4:15. That's another area that has tornado warnings along the leading edge of this storm that's rapidly moving across northeast at 70 miles an hour. So 70 miles an hour, these storms are booking it quickly. Hey, I don't have cable or an antenna, so getting your live weather stream is really awesome. Hey, thanks, Randall. Thanks for watching. Will there be any snow in the Mid-Atlantic this year? I know everybody's wondering where winter is. Like I said, it's kind of warm right now. I mean, there's no two ways about it. I don't really see any substantial, for a good swath of the country. It's been really cold in Canada, really cold in Alaska. There's indication it moves to British Columbia, next week, but that's British Columbia, right? I mean, it kind of halts. It doesn't. There's pieces of it comes down, but there's no sustainable push. We've got a negative PNA. We have a negative NAO happening, but with the negative PNA, that lifts the southeast ridge, and it has the colder air out west for sure. It has the colder air out west, but it just never pushes east because the teleconnections just don't favor it. All right, so we're getting numerous tornado warnings out ahead of this line now. All right, so brand new warning for Blair, Nebraska, Fort Calhoun, Nebraska, as well as Mondamin, Iowa. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Mondamin, Iowa is under tornado warning between now and 4:45. So yeah, there's numerous tornado warnings, and this is the one that we were just talking about right here. If you zoom in into the Pawnee City area, the Stella area, are under the gun to seeing an isolated tornado. It's radar indicated, so there's not an actual tornado that is visible currently, but it is radar indicated. So areas in its path are Stala at 426. So that's the next 9 minutes. And like I mentioned, these storms are moving at 70 miles an hour. So you need to get in your safe zone right now before these until these storms pass into the Rockport area at 442, Fairfax at 444, and the Burlington Junction area at 5 o'clock, College Springs at 5:04, and the Queen area at 5:01. So these areas kind of gives you some times and locations where you could be impacted from these 70-mile-per-hour winds along this tornado warned supercell. As this is moving across. A pizza warning. A pizza warning in Michigan. Be here in 20 minutes. So you got pizza delivered, David? Yeah, the MJO is going nuts. It can't make up its mind, right? It really just can't make up its mind. Um, the Arctic jet stream is flowing straight across the plains to the Great Lakes. Yeah, that's basically where it's at. I mean, it does get cold up there, Montana, Dakotas, Minnesota, Great Lakes, far, far northern areas, Canada. I don't know how much of that cold actually makes it a little bit further south than that. I mean, we get cold fronts, but it's just these 1 or 2 day wonders here. I have dreams. Pizza, pizza. You are making me hungry now. I did have lunch. I did eat, so I'm refueled here. I got plenty of water. Yeah, I think my kids are about to come home from school. Yeah, I live in Dallas. There's not much happening here. I mean, it's we are gonna okay, it's 80. 81. Looks like it hit 81 at the airport. I think the record was 83. So we might not quite break a record in Dallas, but that's hot enough. That's the average high is like 59, 58 this time of year. So that's well above average. Hey, Tropical Starlight, Roy, there's a new Godfather's that opened on Custer. Oh, really? If you want pizza to go there. Huh. I haven't had Godfather's pizza in a long time. I need to go check that out. I did not know that. I appreciate it. All right, so let's zoom out. Let me go to the north side because we haven't been there in a while. Yeah, these storms are on top of Sioux City. Remember, when we came on board, they were in Grand Isle. They were back here. I came on board at about 3 o'clock, so about an hour and 20 minutes. These have moved from Grand Island to Sioux City. So that just kind of gives you an idea of how fast these things have moved in that short amount of time span. But we've got numerous tornado warnings breaking out now. This one expires at 4:30 for another 9 minutes, moving at 79 miles an hour in the Emerson area, the Allen area, going into Sioux City, Iowa. These are all racing across. So Wakefield that's already past Wakefield. So let's move on to Lamar's at 4:37. It's going to be in Lamar's at 4:37, about 15 minutes. Orange City at 4:43. Alton at 4:48. The Marcus area at 4:49. So these areas need to take shelter with this dangerous supercell knocking on your door anytime now. Yeah, I just cannot believe that storm was moving at 101 miles an hour. I've personally never seen anything like it. All right, so we have a new tornado warning. It's kind of hard to keep up with all these new warnings. This one goes until 4:45. Here, there's the new one that just got issued for Council Bluff, Iowa, Underwood, Iowa, Neola, Iowa, until 5 o'clock. The Council Bluff area. You put Neola at 4:31, Shelby at 4:38. In the next 15 minutes, this is radar indicated tornado warning. The Elkhorn area at 4:51, Manning at 5:02, and Carroll at 5:12, and Glendon at 5:15. So these areas will be under the gun of seeing some of those damaging winds, isolated tornado, possibly with this movement, and this is moving northeast at 85 miles an hour. These are not misprints, guys. This is what these storms are actually moving in this environment. So you can see it's literally on Omaha, Nebraska, right now. So if you live in the Omaha, Nebraska area, you feel like a war zone probably just imploded in your area as you're seeing the skies rapidly change, the straight line winds move in, the 80 mile per hour wind gusts move in, and this things will be just before it moves in, it'll move out just as quick because it's moving at 85 miles an hour across your area. The good thing is that these aren't going to last that long because it's a narrow band, so you can see kind of a narrow band along this leading edge. And look at that. If when I zoom out, we had a lot of tornado warnings, but it looked like a lot of them kind of expired, right? It looks like a lot have expired or just they're no longer valid. So the only one that we're dealing with right now is the brand new one that just got issued in this area in between now and 5 o'clock. So, but yeah, I mean, it definitely extends a good chunk, a good ways, and that's why a derecho is not out of the question with this squall line from Sioux City all the way down to Wichita. So that's a good chunk of real estate as this is definitely moving across, lifting off into the northeast. So this is the upper level low right here. So this is the big upper level low. So once this moves through, you're going to have a lull. You're definitely going to have a lull. So, but there is a backside to the system. It's probably not severe, but you're probably going to be experiencing some higher wind gust, on the backside. So even though you're done in Grand Island, I think you're going to get hit hard again, and probably the next 45 minutes with some more damaging winds as this moves across. But we got to get this cold air entrenched in this area, and once we're able to do that, things rapidly subside in a big way. So you can see there's not much going on back here. So and that's a good thing. So once the colder air gets mixed in, then you're in the safe zone, as they say, in the clear from these supercells. So even though this is a high impact event, it's a very dangerous event. It is going to be a quick event. I mean, these are very quick movers, and these will be racing across. It'll be in and out of your area quickly. So you may think Armageddon is unfolding during the time of it's over your head, but luckily it's not going to last that long. But it doesn't take much. I mean, if you have an isolated tornado or even those straight line winds, I mean, even for 30 seconds, it can do a lot of damage. It doesn't really have to be a long duration event. I mean, some of these tornadoes hit houses, over a 30-second time span and wiped them off the slab. So it doesn't, I mean, it doesn't take that much as far as like time. If you have very volatile winds, moving across, it can do a lot of damage in just seconds in a very short amount of time. as this moves across. Yeah, I've seen people theorize that Tornado Alley has shifted further east. Um, yeah, I would say it has. I mean, over the years, it's shifted probably east and north, I would say. Um, you know, Typically in December, your more tornado prone areas are more likely into the southeast, and then and actually into the western Kentucky area, western Tennessee. Those areas are a little bit more likely to see tornadoes into say that like the December timeframe. It's definitely unusual to see something further north of that. Kansas, Omaha, especially South Dakota, going into Minnesota. That's where it gets like really unusual to see possible tornadoes in this neck of the woods in December. In fact, it's actually never happened. So that's the rarity of what we're up against. Hey Tiffany, hey, thanks for the super sticker. Greatly appreciate it. Yeah, nighttime lows have a lot to do with it. I mean, obviously, it's supposed to get cold this time of year, so you're going to have cold fronts. But when you have nighttime lows, I mean, the low was 67 degrees in Dallas. I mean, the low in Iowa was 50, and you're supposed to be 17 this time of year. So, I mean, that's unusual. So it's not going to be able to cool off like it normally would in just a normal December. So you don't cool off. You got all layers of the atmosphere elevated, warm, right? And you got cold air coming in that's mixing. So it's just a matter of time. I mean, you're more susceptible to see severe weather in that type of atmosphere because of the dynamics you're working with. We got to be able to get some more sustained type cold mixed in. Some of that cold in Alaska, some of that cold in Canada needs to kind of share, right? I mean, it's all been kind of bottled up and in that neck of the woods. There's signs, there's pieces of it that kind of comes down into the western areas on the west side, the western areas, California, Northwest, Pacific Northwest, they're below average, no question. And they're gonna remain below average, but how much of that is actually there's pieces every now and then. So you're going to get cold fronts, these 1 2 day wonders, but sustainable cold. We're not seeing like the teleconnections kind of line up to where you have a little bit more areas in the US seeing, you know, below average temperatures for, like an extended period of time. So Will wants to know if there's anything for Indiana. No, there's nothing for Chicago. Well, as far as like severe weather, there's nothing for Chicago, and there's definitely nothing for Indiana. Now, on the southern side, depends on where you live in Indiana. Well, I mean, we're all going to have that cold front, but as far as like severe weather, you're going to have if you got hit from the tornadoes just a couple of days ago from that outbreak, we're going to have that same cold front come down, move southeast, and kind of stall. And there's going to be two cold fronts, but these aren't going to be severe storms. These are mainly going to be heavy rain. So yeah, you're going to get rain and some heavier rains and some possibly flash flooding rains. But I'm not expecting severe weather. I mean, really, the severe threat is tonight. It really substantially subsides after tonight. There's some marginal risk getting down into East Texas and to Little Rock tomorrow, but that's there's enough cold air going to be entrenched. We're not the same setup. We don't have negative tilt situation. The main players tonight. So all right, so we got yeah. So as we're speaking, we've got several more tornado warnings come out. So, all right. So we got a brand new, we have four of them, four new tornado warnings. Woodbine, Iowa, Dunlap, Iowa, and Ute, Iowa at 5 till 5 o'clock. So another radar indicated tornado. These are all moving off into 76 miles an hour, wind gust to 90 miles an hour. Let me get you the other cities: Correctionville, Iowa, Anthon, Iowa, and Pearson, Iowa until 5 o'clock. And then we also have Oakland, Iowa, uh, Traynor, Iowa, as well as Carson, Iowa. And then we also have another one into northeastern uh, Nebraska and Stella, Schubert, Nebraska, as well as Nemaw, Nemaw, Nebraska until 4:45. So all of these are elongating along this squall line here, and these are all moving off. You can see this one moving at 76 miles an hour. It's got some 90-mile-per-hour wind gust to it. Another one's moving at 71 miles an hour. This one's moving at 69 miles an hour, and this one's moving at 56 miles an hour. So I can give you some cities of where some of the locations and within this one right here. This is moving northeast at 79 miles an hour. So if you can imagine a severe thunderstorm moving that fast, look at the real estate it covers between now and 5:20. I mean, this whole entire area until 5:20. So the Red Oak area at 4:42, the Harlan area at 4:43, the Atlantic area at 4:54, Maryville at 5:07, and Creston at 5:20. So these areas will be under the gun to seeing some of those 90-mile-per-hour wind gusts as this storm is racing across northeast at 79 miles an hour. Um, I think this is another one. 5 o'clock. It's hard to keep up with all these. There's another one: Lamar's, Iowa, Remsen, Iowa, and Mobile, Iowa. A new tornado warning between now and 5 o'clock. So for the next 25 minutes, locations in its path are Lawton, Owens, Remsen, Kingsley, as well as Hinton and Merrill. Those locations could see a tornado warning supercell in your area between now and 5 o'clock. Yeah, I hope it doesn't hit Buffalo, New York. No, this is not going to hit Buffalo, New York. I'm in central Iowa. Local meteorologist said this is unprecedented. They have nothing to compare this to. They don't really know how bad this will be. I'll be taking video and checking in all night. Hey, I greatly appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, it is unprecedented. I mean, just to see, 89, 90, 80, 90 mile, 100-mile-per-hour storm movements like this, this late in the year, a moderate risk. Um, you know, these tornado warnings are going to be popping up and pulsing down. So, I mean, what's going to happen with this situation? Even though we could get some tornadoes, right? But these storms are just moving so fast. You get hints of a tornado, radar indicated tornado, right? But because these storms are moving at 70, 80, 90 miles an hour, uh, to me, it's going to be difficult to spin up a long track tornado for an extended period of time. So, because these are moving so quick, right? I mean, it's just kind of like it kind of like runs itself out. We're going to have numerous straight line winds and derecho type damage. There's no question. How much of this is going to be impacted from an actual tornado or not? These could be like very quick spin ups and quick spin downs. Like you can see, we literally just had 4 tornado warnings, and now 5 minutes later, we have nothing, right? So that is the atmosphere that we're dealing with. So it's going to be difficult to say, hey, you can actually track this tornado. It's on the ground and move it into your area. That's why I was like, this is not even like remotely the same type setup as we had, in that tornado outbreak, right? It's just not that type of environment. I mean, what we're working up against is more of a derecho type of event, a straight line, damaging, extreme wind event, and every once in a while, we'll have some isolated spin up tornadoes, which can still pack a punch and still do just as much damage if you had a tornado warning for, 4 or 5 hours, if you had a tornado warning for 30 seconds, right? I mean, it's a tornado is a tornado. If it hits your house, it hits your house. So, I mean, it still can do all the damage in the world in a short amount of time. They just might not be extended tornado warnings because these are just going to be moving so quick and they're just not going to be able to have time to kind of hold themselves together for an extended period of time. So that's kind of what we're seeing. I mean, it's going to come out and say, hey, we've got, 100 or 200 tornado warnings and we had 20 tornadoes or something like that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, just kind of guessing now, but I'm just saying we've had, gosh, I've already talked about probably 30 tornado warnings, even the last an hour and a half. Not that they've lasted very long. Right now we don't even have a tornado warning to deal with currently right now. So, but they're still doing, just as much damage. I mean, these have some 80-mile-per-hour wind gust. That's essentially an EF0 tornado. I mean, right? I mean, that's some 80-mile-per-hour wind gust. That's another 80-mile-per-hour wind gust. There's some 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. There's some 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So we've got plenty of wind out there for sure. Hey, Des Moines. Yeah, Des Moines is in its path. You're going to get hit in Des Moines. Not that far away, guys, in Des Moines. Des Moines, Nebraska City. All right. So, all right, let me yeah, there's Creston. Yeah, that's probably going to be on the north side. It might fall just north of the Des Moines area. See, Atlantic at 453, Stewart at 520. It's 440 right now. Dexter at 524. Yeah, but this whole entire squall line is rapidly moving northeast at 58 miles an hour. So, yeah, there's no question Des Moines is going to be hit hard from this system. Let's see, Des Moines, it looks like around 5:30. So the next 50 minutes, it looks like it could be impacting the Des Moines area around 5:30 is my guesstimate. Around 5:30. Because right now it's in Red Oak. It's got to cross Creston, it's got to cross Stewart, and eventually get into Des Moines. Hey, Dustin. Hey, what about Michigan? Michigan is not going to get hit with severe weather. You're in the clear. You're not going to get hit. Wisconsin is, but not Michigan. A blizzard? Really? Northern Persistent, strong northwesterly winds behind a cold front may continue to support areas of a blizzard-like conditions across parts of northern Nebraska and into Valentine area. Yeah, the Storm Prediction Center just sent out an update. Areas of blizzard-like conditions may continue for the next few hours. So, yeah, these winds are whipping on the backside, and they're getting some snow here, and they've got a quarter-mile visibility right now in Valentine, Nebraska, at 27 degrees. So there's definitely a cold side to this system, and it looks like uh, they didn't issue a blizzard warning, but it looks like blizzard-like conditions in this area in northern Nebraska here. So wow. All right, so we got a new tornado warning that just another one just now developed. This is brand new. They just issued it. Between now and 5:15, these storms are racing at 75 miles an hour. Another radar indicated tornado. Locations in its path are Cherokee at 456. Like I said, this may or may not, be active for that long, but I can just go over the cities where if it does hold together, it'll be in your area. And to Cherokee at 456, Sutherland at 506, and to Spencer at 523, and to Arnold's Park at 533, as well as Orleans at 538. So these areas could experience some 75-mile-per-hour winds, and these are moving off into the northeast with at 75 miles an hour. So yeah, these are definitely booking it quickly. It was crazy north of Colorado Springs, rain, blizzard, massive wind. Oh wow. Hey, I appreciate the report. Yes. Hey Jay. Yes, it's gonna hit Waterloo eventually. It will, yeah. Waterloo is in the severe thunderstorm. I mean, the tornado watch until 8 o'clock. So yes, this whole band is gonna eventually hit Waterloo. You know, if it's about 5:30 in Des Moines, it might be closer to 7 and Waterloo, but it's definitely you're definitely gonna get impacted from this storm. All right, so this is a brand new one. This is another tornado warning that just got issued between now and 5:30. Locations in its path. The Cherokee area at not 456. Didn't we just read that? That's the northern side. Let me read the southern side. Yeah, this one goes until 5:30. So there's two of them that just popped up. You have Dallas City at 451. That's another 5 minutes. Denison at 5 o'clock. Vale at 5:08. Going into Auburn at 5:28. And Lake City at 5:35. So it gives you kind of an indication on where this storm may be in your area. There's a brand new one that just popped up. And like I said, you're going to see this, guys. I mean, this is moving at 83 miles an hour. So this is a very unusual event. We've seen numerous tornado warnings pop up along this band. Another tornado warning that just got issued into Walnut, Iowa, Elkhorn, Iowa. Yeah, Walnut at 452. That's another 5 minutes. Elkhorn at 459. And Coon Rapids at 519. Jefferson, 532. Rockwell City at 543. So those areas will be susceptible to see some of those 70, 80 mile per hour wind gusts and possibly an isolated tornado within this sector, as this is rapidly racing across at 83 miles an hour, lifting off into the northeast. There was a man in Kentucky who survived in his bathtub at his house, basically disappeared. Wow. Yeah, that's a scary situation. As fast as that thing came in, I was hearing things that, it's hey, it lasted 30 seconds. Like I kind of blacked out and I woke up in a field somewhere, and yeah, that was a scary night. Hey, Robert, you're getting a downpour in Jamaica. Anything here to be concerned about? Yeah, I mean, there's definitely nothing tropical. You're probably just kind of having a tropical wave moving across. Hey, Jenny. Yeah, I know. 5 days later, we're talking about another tornado outbreak, really, in an extreme wind event. Very unusual for December. All right, so let me zoom out here. For those just tuning in, you can see where the upper level low is. You can see it wrapping around, pulling in that. You got the warm sector here. It's past the dry line. Once it passes the dry line, this is the warm sector. You can see temperatures well into the 70s, 60s, 72. We got 72 in essentially Waterloo. 32 degrees in North Platte, right? So you can see where the cold air is on the backside. This is the low pressure. As it moves through, it arcs, it comes down, drags down the colder air from Canada. As it drags down, it's dropping the temperatures quickly. It's still windy. So we're having blizzard-like conditions right now in Valentine's, Nebraska. It's dropped to freezing in North Platte. And this is winds too. I mean, these are going to be winds, not nearly as high as what we're seeing out ahead of it. But even though you're in the clear, you still have a secondary round of some more winds. They're going to be pushing through the backside, and eventually the cold air will get wrapped up in it as well. So you can see the difference here. We're at 55 in Grand Isle. We're at 70 and closer to Sioux City, right? I mean, so that is a good 40-degree difference or temperature difference on either side of the low. You got the warm sector on the right. You got a lull in the middle. You've got the wind event on the backside, dragging down this colder air, and it's winning out in Valentine with blizzard-like conditions right now, and northern Nebraska. Yeah, I had a derecho here a few years ago here in New York. All the trees started snapping like crazy, and it sounded like a battlefield. I'll never forget it. For as long as I live, I found new respect for nature. Yeah, this is going to be a night people are going to remember, right? I mean, they're going to know. It's one of those things. It's like nothing. Like it's just calm, and all of a sudden, wham! It just hits you like a ton of bricks with this nasty squall line coming through, and you could have some isolated spin ups in its wake. And you have a lull, and then you have some more wind on the backside. So it's probably going to be a lot of tree damage, a lot of, let's see, is it December? Literally by now, a lot of the leaves would be off, but typically right now, there's probably a lot of leaves still left on the trees just because we've kind of been so warm. I don't know. I might be speaking because I live in Texas, so I can't really say what's everywhere else in the country. But yeah, the middle of December, usually a lot of leaves are off the tree. But I know a lot of my trees here are fully, there's, it's springtime. All right. So we got a new tornado warning a little bit further off to the south. Where's it at? Here we go. This is a brand new tornado warning moving at 79 miles an hour between now and 5:30. Just got issued at 4:51. So locations in its path are White Cloud at 4:54, Forest City at 4:58, Oregon at 5 o'clock, and to the Maryville area at 5:20. Getting into the Stanberry area at 527 and Grant City at 538. So those areas are under a new tornado warning. And this looks like it's observed, guys. It looks like this particular tornado, there has been an observed tornado with this particular supercell as it's racing across at 79 miles an hour, as at least as it was a minute ago, and that's why they issued the tornado warning. So it appears there is a tornado observed within this zone here, and locations in its path are the Forest City area at 458, the Maitland area at 509, the Maryville area at 520, and the Ravenwood area at 526. So those areas will need to take shelter from an observed tornado that looks to be possibly on the ground. All we're getting right now is an observed tornado within the supercell from this particular event. So this is looks like it's just now spun up over the last 2 to 3 minutes. The Atlantic. Yeah, so here's another wow. So we're getting indications we've got destructive winds in this area of 90 miles an hour. So we're getting indications of 90 miles an hour approaching the Griswold area and Hancock. Some possibly 90-mile-per-hour winds with this line of thunderstorms approaching the Lewis area, and eventually the Atlantic area will be knocking on your doorstep as this is moving at 75 miles an hour. So this is a brand new tornado warning. It looks like this is another possible indicated observed tornado, with this one that just popped up within the area is going to be Atlantic at 454. That's where it's at now. And to the Panora area at 526, Perry at 539, Grand Junction at 541, and to the Woodward area at 546. Yeah, mini radars are down. Yeah, I would think so, because it's knocking the stuff out. I'm not getting nearly the data that I used to usually get in this situation. So I knew something was going on. Just the satellites. I mean, it's probably knocking a lot of the stuff, because it's a unique destructive event, 70, 80, 90 mile per hour winds. It's knocking a lot of the satellites down. So I'm not getting a lot of the data that I typically get in normal situations and in events like this. But we'll do the best we can with what we have. So here's another tornado that just got activated at 5:30. This is also moving at 76 miles an hour. So we're seeing numerous tornado warnings pop up along this line here, and it looks like the winds have increased. So we've got currently 4 tornado warnings, and looks like there's 2 of them that has observed tornadoes with them as well. So not only are they dealing with the 80 to 90 mile per hour winds, it looks like there's radar scope. We're aware of issuing affected radar data availability and working to resolve it. Yeah, so there you go. So a lot of areas are having radar difficulty bringing data in this situation right now, because of just the unique nature of that we're dealing with. We're just not used to it. We don't plan for this stuff. You don't know this is going to happen, but you're not used to getting 90 mile per hour straight line winds either. So, but like I said, we'll do the best we can with what the data we have, and try to give you the best warnings out there as possible with what we have. So there's right now we've got 4 tornado warnings currently right now, a brand new one that just got issued for the Denison, Iowa area until 5:30. This is an observed tornado within this supercell. for the next 33 minutes. It's got that tornado warning attached to it, and the Quran, is it Kirin? I know I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly. Kiron, Iowa, at 5:30. For the next 30 minutes, there is a tornado warning that is observed, moving off, racing off at 75 miles an hour. Okay, record high temperatures adding to the fuelie chain. Yeah, yeah, record high temperatures. I mean, it takes heat. I mean, it takes heat to fuel the atmosphere, and there's been plenty of that. There's been plenty of that, and it's mainly the overnight lows. I mean, the overnight lows have been really elevated, and you just don't have um you just don't have the cooling overnight that you typically get. So it doesn't allow the atmosphere to cool at really all layers, not just at the surface or to the north, and really all layers of the atmosphere. So when you have a system come through, I mean, it's almost got prime opportunity to fuel these thunderstorms because your starting point of temperature is already 20 to 30 degrees higher than it normally is at this time of year. So at this time of year, obviously you're probably going to get cold fronts, right? So any amount of cold air that might mix in with that type of atmosphere is going to be fuel to fuel these thunderstorms. And that's what we've seen, the last 2 weeks with this kind of a transient type pattern where we get these cool downs, we get these rapid warm ups, and then we have another trough coming in that just activates the atmosphere again, and we'll clear out, and we'll see if we get another one next week. But next week's Christmas week. I mean, um, this pattern's got to change eventually. I mean, right now it's not pretty. Um, okay. Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for your support. Yeah, it was just another one of those situations where we kind of spotted this setup. It was very isolated, I would say. We spotted it maybe 2 or 3 days ago. And it's just another one of those situations where really, we spotted it before the Storm Prediction Center even put the marginal risk on it. And then they put the marginal risk. It did actually a special advisory. And then they put the slight risk. But every update, it looked like more and more intense. And of course, obviously last night, they just kind of skipped the enhance altogether and went straight to the moderate risk, um, in a quick fashion. And that's what we're up against. So we tried to give you as much lead time as possible and warn you with this particular event, because a lot of the dynamics looks like they were starting to come together and really isolate themselves east of Nebraska, right there in Iowa, and that was the spot. I mean, this is the spot that we're talking about currently right now. And look at it back building. Look on the south side. We've got several new severe thunderstorm warnings pop up along the south side. These aren't going to be nearly as strong as to the north, but these are outside of the severe thunderstorm watch currently. And look at that. Because of that, they extended it, right? Look at that. As we speak, they extended the severe thunderstorm watch further south because these are what they call back building along the tail end of the southern plank here. It's able to fuel itself. You still got the warm sector. It's still well into the almost 80 degrees in almost Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? So we're watching these storms build on the south side, and look how much they extend all the way to the north, right? These go all the way into Sioux Falls on the north side. You got the heavy snow and then fishtail on the backside, weakening as they do, but still you're going to have storms develop. And as these move through, that's why the Storm Prediction Center does have a marginal risk in these areas. So I would imagine if these continue, they'll be activating more, you know, marginal type, slight risk type of advisories in this area. If this is able to continue like it has, right? I mean, it's only 5 o'clock, and these are billed pretty far south, really, in the last 3 hours since we've been live here. And it's not that far away from Enid, and then Edmond, and Oklahoma City is actually not that far. So we're watching these things build south. Hey, tornado rallies haven't destructive tornadoes. Who would have thought? Well, that's Tornado Alley, but you know, further north, it's very rare. Are these systems expected to affect the north, such as Illinois and Indiana? No, it doesn't. It doesn't appear it's going to be impacting um, Illinois or Indiana. Yeah. So if we zoom out, let's zoom out. Let's give people the big picture. People have, you know, obviously they have questions. So if we zoom out, here's Chicago, and then of course Indiana and Illinois way over here. These are moving northeast, right? These are moving northeast, and these are splitting, moving southeast. This kind of splits and eventually fades. So it's not going to make it anywhere close to Illinois and Indiana. It's just not going to happen. This lifts northeast, actually, because the warm front, there's still a warm front lifting further north, right? So we're in the 70s. Look at the warm air. Look, we're 64 degrees in La Crosse. All right. I mean, that's the warm front lifting further north. So it's fishtailing, it's lifting further north as we speak. So that's the warm sector, 72 degrees in Des Moines, 72 in Cedar Rapids. We're still watching the warm front lift all the way further north. It's almost approaching Wisconsin now. And that will just extend as we go into the evening hours, awaiting for this right here. So it's there. These temperatures are still actually rising in these areas. But no, it's moving northeast instead of east. Okay, so yeah, see the movement northeast. All right, so we got a new tornado warning that just got issued at 5:03, goes on until 5:30 for the Elkhorn, Iowa area, until 5:30. Looks like another brand new tornado warning that just got issued for the St. Joseph area, as well as let's see, until 5:30, until Country Club and Country Club Village as well. Okay, update from the Mayfield tornado has been rated an EF4. It looks like they have confirmation from the National Weather Service that this is not this event. This is the prior event, the one that hit Mayfield, Kentucky. It looked like we have a confirmed track now of 190 mile per hour. It looks like it was on the ground 128 miles. The length of it was 1 mile, and it's rated an EF4 tornado. The Mayfield, Kentucky tornado. Breaking news. Okay, information still preliminary, so it could actually could still change. So yeah, right now they have confirmation of an EF4. They're probably waiting to see if it was EF5 in spot. So it's not. This is information is still preliminary, but that is the latest we have from the Mayfield, Kentucky area. Yeah, that Mayfield, Kentucky area. I mean, I would imagine there's an EF5. I don't know. I mean, I always leave that up to the National Weather Service. There's a lot of study involved, structural engineers and everything to determine the exact strength of a storm. But EF4, EF5. I mean, the damage is done. I mean, it's going to leave a mark in history for years to come. Okay, so we have new tornado warnings out. This goes until 5:45. This just got issued until 5:45, lifting off into the northeast at 72 miles an hour. Locations in its path or the Lakeview area at 5:16, the Fonda area at 5:33, Rolfe at 5:52, West Bend at 6 o'clock, Livermore at 6:05. So those areas could be susceptible to see a tornado, possibly radar indicated tornado, between now and 5:45. We just broke our record high in Kalamazoo, Michigan. We were at 63 degrees, and here the record was 62, just verified. Wow, that is incredible. 63 degrees in Michigan, 10 days before Christmas. Wow. Yeah, I think the count earlier was 68 record highs. Of course, that's big cities. That doesn't account for all the smaller cities and isolated cities. Probably be more than that today, but yeah, widespread for sure. Looks like 80. Looks like 80 degrees in Dallas. The low was 67, so that was, I think it was 65 was the record high low. So that definitely broke a record. That was all the way back from 1948. So the low temperature was 67 degrees when your average high is about 58 this time of year. Just gives you an idea of what we're faced. What today was, how unusual it was. The high of 80 was actually not a record, but that's only a 13-degree swing. Really, mainly because there was a lot of clouds. 82 in Waco. Okay. Yeah, if you live in Dallas, it looks like they let the wind advisory expire. So the wind advisory was able to expire all the way in Dallas, Texas. Wow, that is something. I can't believe this. I'm near Detroit. It's about 55. Yeah, 55. There you go. You nailed it. 55. 55 in Detroit. There's Kalamazoo. So it bumped to 63. Wow. All right. So they were asking about Des Moines earlier, and now we have a severe thunderstorm warning to include Des Moines from this rapidly approaching squall line in your area. We guesstimated 5:30. It's 5:12, and it's not that far away, right? I mean, it's you can see the path. It's okay. So it looks like Creston at 5:26, Clive at 5:52, the West Des Moines area at 5:53, and Des Moines at 5:57, Ames at 6:03. So that gives you some times and locations. It's going to be impacting those areas with this squall line. Currently, not a tornado warning attached to it, but as you can see, we had a tornado warning here, but it just quickly vanished. So these tornado warnings have had a history of not lasting very long at all. Um, whether they have a quick spin up or not, it remains to be seen. But you got to be out. You got to warn in these situations, whether it's observed or radar indicated, whether it whether it it's an hour or 30 seconds. You still have to warn once spin up shows. And but it looks like it's not able to last for any extended period of time. Um, from these just fast moving systems. Yeah, this one's moving at 78 miles an hour. This one's moving at 72 miles an hour, and it's got some 80-mile-per-hour wind gust associated with it. So that is the environment that we're working with tonight, and this type of setup. Hey, the Washington family. Hey, you're welcome. Hello from Florida. How are you doing, Florida? Hey, thanks for watching. Sounds like I could use a little bit of a break. Yes, I could use about a 2-minute break. I may refill my water. All right, so yeah, let me do that. Let me take a pause for a minute or two, and I will be right back. All right. All right, I'm back, y'all. Okay. All right. So it looks like while I was gone, we had two new tornado warnings that just popped up um, from this activity. So let me go back. All right, so it looks like the Spencer area, radar indicated Spencer, Iowa, between now and 5:45 for the next 30 minutes. Sutherland, Iowa, as well as Everly, Iowa. Locations in its path. Wow, look at that. We got numerous tornado warnings that are just popping up one after another. Let me refresh my screen. Lakeview, Iowa, Wall Lake, Iowa, Linton, Iowa until 5:45. Jefferson, Iowa, as well as Coon Rapids, Iowa until 6 o'clock. So we've got numerous tornado warnings that literally just popped up. So far, it looks like there are radar indicated. Most of them are. Looks like all of them are. Okay, so all these don't actually have an observed or spotted tornado, but still, we've got numerous tornado warnings that just popped up that could spin up a tornado at any moment. So all these, this one's racing across at 83 miles an hour. This one's moving at 70 miles an hour, 76 miles an hour, 62 miles an hour. 70 miles an hour. So you can see the atmosphere that we're working with as this is kind of well ahead of the main line. So it's heading to Fort Dodge. It looks like these isolated tornadoes are just north of the Des Moines area, but you'll get hit with the southern flank eventually. But these are all lifting off into the northeast and they're racing across. Into the Manson area by 5:43, the Dakota City area at 6:01, and eventually into the Livermore area at 6:07. So you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tornado warnings that literally just popped up in the last 3 or 4 minutes. And we have one on the southern side as well. So let me get the bearings on this one. All right, so this is a brand new one. It looks like it was issued a while ago, actually, until 5:30. So locations in its path are going to be the Elmwood area at 5:33, St. Joseph at 5:35, the Easton area at 5:45, and Union Star at 5:55. So that kind of gives you an idea. As literally we've got 6 or 7 different tornado warnings as we speak. I'm trying to see from any like storm spotter. I'm not sure how many storm spotters or chasers are actually braving this tonight and this type of atmosphere with it moving so fast. Um, I would say there's probably not many. Uh, yeah, wind gust of over 100 miles an hour reported officially. This is just such a dangerous night to be out there. Is there another Brandon Payne who chases storms? Because I'm definitely still in St. Louis. Oh. Yeah, let me check my but yeah, so we've got numerous tornado warnings along this band. Well, we did. Half of them disappeared. Wow. This is a crazy environment, guys. I don't know if I've seen anything like this. You know, these tornado warnings pop up, and within a matter of minutes, they're gone. There's 1 that vanished. We literally just had 7 of them 5 minutes, 2 minutes ago, right? Yeah, well, now we have 1. So that is the environment. That's crazy. That to see something like that, to get 6 or 7 tornado warnings just like that, and just as quick, rapidly disappear. I'm not. You're probably seeing radar indicated, like quick, rotation possibly for 30 seconds, and then back down, right? Because it's just moving so quick. 83 miles an hour. I mean, 83 miles an hour. I mean, especially now that it's going to get dark, it's nighttime now. with it starting and pulsing and bright, going back down again within a matter of minutes. Yeah, I don't see that there's anything to chase out there in this type of environment. Um, it's just almost impossible. But you can see how it really arcs and pulls all the way down further south. They actually extended the severe thunderstorm watch earlier, further south, because this is all back building further off into the south. So yeah, and these are all moving. Like I said, there's a northern branch moving northeast, and there's a southern branch moving southeast. Yeah, I agree. I think it's just moving too fast for tornadoes. But I mean, you can still spend one up. I mean, like I said, 30-second tornado just can do just as much damage. But yeah, this type of environment, there's no way these things are going to last that long. All right, so we got. So let me refresh here. Yeah, the National Weather Service preliminary damage from that Western Kentucky tornado EF4, preliminary EF4, 190-mile-per-hour winds, 128 miles on the ground, oof, and a mile wide. Oof, that's brutal. Yeah, so I'll report anything new that might come in from that situation from the other night. Yeah, it looks like we had a small debris ball earlier near Shelby, possibly. That's typically an indication of a tornado that an observed tornado that popped up. That was 40 minutes ago. We did have several observed tornadoes on radar for sure. So I know there's been several of them already. Most of the ones we've seen tonight are radar indicated, but we've had upwards to at least 30 or 40 tornado warnings easily by now. All right, but right now things have calmed down a little bit, and we're just seeing there's no currently tornado warnings. There's not actually one to speak of currently right now. We're just seeing some severe thunderstorm warnings out well ahead of this leading squall line here that is really, really just kind of come together. We had shelter in place with 2 tornado signs going off at our local schools around 3:30. Hey, what will happen in the spring? Well, currently, Jenny, right now, it looks like early indications we go into what they call an enzo neutral and not La Nina for the spring. So typically, if we're enzo neutral, it's not going to be as bad as La Nina, but the spring's a while, the spring's a ways away, and we're just getting going with winter. So, but yeah, you don't want a La Nina and full blown spring. That is why they can team up with the PDS, because these storms have been amped up. There's no way to predict the future, but it's underground. I don't know. All right, so Let me all right, so all right, so we still got the snow on the backside and Valentine, and it looks like it's well, that's east of North Platte now. But yeah, temperatures are rapidly falling on the backside, on the cold side for sure. Yeah, it looks like things have calmed down at the moment. We're still getting the high wind gusts, but even some of the tornado warning, I mean the severe thunderstorm warnings have subsided. So you can see it as I back off. Yeah, there's only two. There's no tornado warnings and only two severe thunderstorm warnings currently right now. So we've definitely seen a change over the last 10 minutes, and some of the severe threat has dropped pretty substantially currently right now. All right, so this tornado watch still goes on till 7. It's only 5:30. It feels later than that because it's already dark, but it's only 5:30. Um, and this tornado watch goes until 8 o'clock. That was the one that was issued earlier. Can have wind gusts up towards to 90 miles an hour. So they extended the one down to the south side that goes till 7. So we're watching this. I mean, we're literally just now getting into the higher impact areas. As it's this storm started, well, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours earlier than even what some of the models had, and so we still haven't really. We're just now entering the location that was supposed to get the most heavily favored activity. And it really wasn't even supposed to start until 4 or 5. So it started about really 2. As some of the storms started to fire off 2, 3 o'clock. I came on live at 3, maybe 3:10, 3:15. But it definitely started earlier than what it looked like. All right, so we'll watch this. I mean, it's still got nasty squall line. There's no question. I mean, these winds are still upwards to 70, 80 mile per hour, 80 mile per hour wind gust with this. So just because you don't have a severe thunderstorm, warning attached to it, or a tornado warning attached to it, it doesn't mean these storms aren't really still packing a punch. Um, hey, Victor. Hey, no, Chicago is not going to get anything. It's just not heading your way. So you're in the clear in Chicago. Um, yeah, let me switch radars. I think that's the problem. Come on. Yeah, it's not switching radars on me. Sorry. Yeah, I'm having to switch radars because it changed from Grand Isle radar, but it's not switching. It's not changing radars. Come on. Gotta love technology. Ugh. Sorry, it's just not switching, guys. That's what's happening. I'm not able to switch radars. That's what's here. Let me log out, log back in. Hold on. Yeah, they updated this software, and I mean, when I was coming on, it already had some glitches. So I'm trying to switch radar so it picks it up. So that's what's happening. And I have all this company coming over. Yeah, radar issues through the evening. Okay, so let me get my bearings. Okay, we're back. Come on. Well, is there stuff? Now I'm confused. It won't switch radars. No, this is live. This is the live. It's picking it up. Okay, yeah, there's a brand new tornado warning just issued. Yeah, so this is new. But still, it's not. Sorry, I know it's frustrating. Sorry, I know. I don't know what to do. It's not updating. I don't know what to do. I apologize. Okay, I see one, but it's not. I can't pick up other radars. Um, I'm trying to switch over to the Des Moines radar, and it's just not doing it. It's just not switching over. Let me try this one. Well, this is not good. I'm not going to be able to help you out. I mean, I won't switch radars, so I can't see it. I mean, I apologize. I don't know what else to do. Um, Yeah, I see that. There's 6 of them issued right now, and I only see 1. It's just not switching radars. It's just not doing it. I'm sorry. Well, this is fun. um, I don't know how to help you if it's not switching radars. It's just it's yeah, it was working fine until I got out of the range, and I'm not able to switch. I'm past the range now, and I can't pick up the new data. I'll take a good joke. You got any? Well, I'm trying to fix this. I know. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to do. I don't know what to do. If you know, you're, I, I, I got to have the technology to be able to show you, and I don't. It's not updating. Um, there. I'm clicking on the Des Moines radar, and it should just switch over. It's not switching over. It's not doing it. Well, I might have to end the stream, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know. Yeah, this is not good. I got out, I got back in. I mean, are the radars down? I mean, I see it on Radar Omega. I see it here, but on my phone, but uh, I just can't pick it up here. Well, I mean, I can certainly tell you where the tornado warnings are without showing you on the radar. New tornado warning: Fort Dodge, Iowa, Jefferson, Iowa, and Gallery, Iowa, until 6:15. And Pomeroy, Iowa, and Fonda, Iowa, until 6 o'clock. But it's all right here. It's just not happening. It's okay, pal. Hey, Jenny. I know it's so simple. It's just like you click the radar and it switch over, but if it's not showing, it's not showing. I don't know what else to do. Uh, yeah, I mean, here's the Des Moines radar right here. I'm trying to switch to it. I can try to get out again. Here, let me reload it one more time, see if it works. Okay. Um, all right. Yeah, I'm gonna try this one more time, Jenny. Okay. All right. So it's there. No, it's just not pulling through. It's not happening. Yeah, just picking up the old data. All right. Well, I was able to go live for almost 3 hours until until the radar not cooperating with me. I wonder why it won't pull through. I don't know. I'm using different radars. New push product. Yeah, not pulling through. Hey, I saw this, guys. Anyone know what the program that this is? It's the WSV3 software. They sent out a new update today, and I downloaded it. Like I said, I mean, everything was working fine until I had to switch radars. Yeah, it seems like the ones back here are working. It just pulled through, but I can't get anything moving forward. Yeah, because it looks like, according to Radar Omega, there's 4 tornado warnings currently, and I show 1 because I'm not getting the Des Moines radar. It's just not. It's blank. I'm not able to pull. Is it down? Is the Des Moines radar down or something? I can't pull. I can't pull the data. Uh, it must be. It must be down. I don't know. I mean, I can't. I don't have access to it. Yeah, I mean, I see that on my phone. It's just the software is not pulling through. I can certainly tell you on Twitter, and I can certainly tell you on my phone, but I just can't physically show you on the radar because it's not pulling through the data. Um, but it almost kind of defeats the purpose. Barnum, Iowa. That's a brand new tornado warning that just got issued until 6:15. Barnum, Iowa, Clare, Iowa. Those areas will be have a tornado warning associated with them until 6:15. Another tornado warning in looks like Roth, Iowa. Yeah, these are on top of each other. Fort Dodge area is in its path. Peyton as well as Dayton, Iowa, and then we have another one that goes until 6 o'clock for another 12 more minutes, and Pomeroy as well as Palmer and Rolfe. So those areas will be susceptible to seeing a possible tornado within this supercell thunderstorm. Um, Sorry, this whole radar thing's throwing me for a loop. Activate. Always having difficulty. Okay, well that's good. I'm glad that Ryan Hall. Okay, he's having difficulties with Des Moines number two. Okay, it's not just me. All right. Hey, I appreciate it. I'm like pulling my hair out here. It's like, what is going on? All right, it must be down. I mean, they must be hit with a lot of high winds, and it must be down. That's the deal. And okay, this makes sense now. So we'll just work with what we have then. Um, and deal with what we have because we're like I said, we're under a unique situation, some very high winds, and they can knock radars down. I mean, that happens. It definitely happens, and you can't have access to the data. Barnum, Iowa, Clare, Iowa, near Nearham, Iowa. Those areas have a tornado warning until 6:15. Currently, it looks like there's 4 tornado warnings in and around the Iowa area. That's where it's encompassing the Des Moines radar, but unfortunately, it looks like it's possibly down at the moment. It's just not able to pull through the data. So we'll work with what we have. New tornado warning. Looks like we had an observed tornado and Guthrie, Iowa, Dallas, Iowa, Green, Iowa, and Boone, Iowa is the areas affected from that particular tornado warning. And it looked like it was a possible observed tornado as well. And then we have another tornado warning in and around the Carroll, Iowa area that also has a possible observed tornado with it as well. So we do have several tornado warnings happening in and around the Iowa area currently, right now. As we speak, these all extend until 6 o'clock, and there's another one extends until 6:15. But it's got a nasty squall line with it. There's no question. As this is racing across. Yeah, waiting the next update. Yeah, the radar is just not scanning. It's not doing its scan. Hey man, hello, how are you doing? Hey, thanks for watching. Um, yeah, I'm on my phone. It looks like the storms are about right here. So that's where the storms are currently at, right here along my cursor. As these storms are literally knocking on the Des Moines update, and it looks like we have a new uh, severe thunderstorm warning associated out ahead of this, moving at northeast at 83 miles an hour. So we have a brand new. It's trying to pick up, the severe thunderstorms. All right, so yeah, we have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning. Okay, it's slowly coming in. Oh, it's slowly coming in. The data is slowly coming in now, looks like. All right, so it's popping. Hopefully it's resetting here. We got new tornado severe thunderstorm warnings that's popped up. Yeah, it appears the software is trying to update. Maybe the radar has not picked up yet, but still we have the severe thunderstorm warnings that are associated with it along that squall line, moving at 79 miles an hour, um, in and around the Des Moines area. So looks like the radar is slowly trying to come back. Yeah, I forgot I had company tonight. I got a house full of people right now. um, hey, thanks for your channel. I'm trekking across the U.S. from Maine to Utah tomorrow. Super helpful. Do you think I'll be good for the trip? That's a long ways. Maine to Utah. Um, yeah, it's. I don't know. It's a long ways. I mean, you're going to run into some weather within its path for sure. All right. All right. So we have a brand new tornado watch. Looks like it got issued about 26 minutes ago. For areas Minneapolis until 11 o'clock for portions of Illinois, Iowa, Minnesota, Missouri, and Wisconsin. Between now and 11 o'clock, wind gust of upward to 90 miles an hour and several tornadoes are likely. So the locations within the watch are Minneapolis, um, Stevens Point, La Crosse, Rochester, Madison, heading into Freeport, Cedar Rapids, Davenport, Burlington, all the way down to Freeport. Those areas are under the tornado watch until 11 o'clock tonight. Come on, switch radars. Hmm. It just doesn't want to do it. It just doesn't want to do it. Okay, radar control. Hey, please share this channel and support our favorite weather dude. Hey, Tiffany, how are you doing? Hey, I appreciate you guys sharing. I just wish I would be able to fix my radar here. It's really bugging me. I don't know what else to do. Ooh. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, you see this radar, this green line here? It's not moving. So it's not able to update. Activate live scan. It's not moving. So it's not updating. Yeah, this line should be moving. It moves every 8 seconds. I mean, it rotates every 8 seconds and updates. It's stationary. It's not moving. All right. All right. So we have a new tornado warning that just got issued for Gilmore City, Iowa, Livermore, Iowa, and Bode, Iowa until 6:30. That's a brand new tornado warning. It's this one right here, moving at 68 miles an hour. So between now and 6:30, locations in its path. So I basically have everything. I just don't have the actual radar itself. Bode at 6:05, Livermore at 6:09, Corwith at 6:29, 6:21, Wesley at 6:24, Forest City at 6:42, Thompson at 6:43, and to the Lake Mills area at 6:53. So those areas will be under the gun for a tornado warning between now and 6:30 this evening. Hey, does Dallas, Dallas, Texas going to have severe weather? Nothing's really supposed to hit Dallas until, like I said, this is supposed to be like a weakening line approach, like early tomorrow morning, a very weakened state, probably some stronger storms, very, very isolated. But we have a reinforcing shot in Dallas on Friday, mainly Friday night. Some of those could be strong to severe. That's a secondary cold front, but it won't be from this one. Um, so doo-doo-doo. All right. Well, it's not any fun. Don't have any radar. Yeah, it's heading towards Ames. Yeah, I know. I'm full blown into this, and I don't even have a radar. uh, all right. Coordinator. Okay. All right, guys. I have a full house of company here. And my radar's not working. I solely apologize. I wish it was under better circumstances, but I was live for 3 hours. But yeah, I mean this storm is going to continue. It's probably going to last another 3 or 4 hours, at the peak of it. But yeah, I literally have like 15 people in my house. I didn't realize today was the day that everybody's coming over, and the dog's going crazy. My radar's not working, and yeah. All right, Tiffany, I'm gonna stop apologizing because I know they're looking for me. All right, hey guys, y'all be safe out there. I will be on tomorrow morning with an update, with a new update, and everything. Probably a recap of maybe potentially what happens tonight. Yeah, definitely be safe. Listen to all the watches and warnings out there. I appreciate you tuning in this evening and sharing the live stream. And all right, y'all have a good night. Thanks.